Hi everyone, Heather Hartwick Gladden, Certified Zentangle Teacher, bringing you another Tangle Quickie. Today we're going to focus on Pokeroot. Fun tangle. Again, I'm working on a bijou tile. They're about 2 by 2. They're adorably cute. And fun for monotangles such as this. So Pokeroot is one of the organic tiles, as I like to, or tangles, excuse me, as I like to call them. And this one starts out with 2 parallel lines. Now, do they have to be straight? No. They can start wherever. I'm going to start in the corner today because that's what I feel like. So 2 parallel lines. And then we cap this off. That's what I call it. Now, you can, this is so funny, you can do a straight cap, a frowny cap, or a smiley cap. And I'll show you each one. This came from when I was teaching a class. Let me just do a straight one. So just teeing off the top like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to essentially draw an orb around this, but utilizing the hollowbow technique. Now, for those of you that are new to hollowbow, and I have not done a quickie on hollowbow, that is the art of drawing behind something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my orb on this side. I'm going to go around and then stop, on this side, as if in my mind, I'm making the circle. I'm going to continue it, on in my mind, but not with my pen. I like to start my Pokeroot about halfway into what I will call this the stem. And voila, just like that. And then they just grow however you want them to grow. Just because I feel, and do like just whatever you feel like. Now, also going to use the hollowbow technique to draw that orb behind this other one, and also off of the page. I like to do that. And then I'm just going to have one growing from here. This one I'm going to do a little bit frowny. And you see how, they kind of take on an interesting life or aspect, depending on how you want to draw that cap. It's just funny. And I am kind of drawing these quick. It's always a better idea to draw them kind of slow. I'm going to start one over this direction as well. And sometimes I like to take, I'm just going to fill the space. And that's what we generally do with this. You could have them, growing up a side like this. I'm going to put some, maybe I'll have one that actually grows straight here, and draw this one behind the others. Oh, and let's see, maybe one from here, just really sideways. Just tucking them in. Oop, and then let's see, if I was going around, about right there would be the other. It's very important to make sure to put those, these extra little touches in when you're drawing behind, because it makes it, what's the word I'm looking for? Convincible. And they don't have, it's just, these are just so nice because you can just have fun with it and not worry about anything. And it's just like, let's see, and I feel like I need one, maybe another one coming out of the side here. And if you, sometimes people say, oh, they look like mushrooms. They can look like, mushroom. I mean, depending on how you draw the cap, they certainly can. If you kind of have them go upside down like this, then they could look like cherries. It's one of those, it is up to you. I'm going to have another one coming off the side here because I just really want to pack this in. Like I said, these are things, you can have them any size you want. because what we're going to do at the end of this, and little spot right there, one way that we like to finish this off is by, that looks pretty good, shading in, or I should say coloring in the background, filling it in. Now, there is no such thing as mistakes in Zentangle. If you've taken some other classes, or you've taken some of my classes, seen some of my other videos, I talk about that a lot, along with course corrections. So if something kind of grows awry, and I've seen many places on mine here that I'm like, I'm not really caring for that. The place that we get to fix that is in filling in. That is one way. And I'm going to, let's see, I have an 08 here. Hopefully it's, let's see how, I know I've used it a lot. We'll see how, oh good, it's good. There are other nib sizes. This is an 08. I know that they also have, just to show you, actually one of the pens that I really like to use, although this one is purple, is this plastic nib. Those are nice. These regular microns are nice for super delicate work. And if you are just getting started, get one of those plastic nibs. I know on my site, we call them, there's the plastic nibs, but there's also something called the apprentice set. And so now, a lot of times I'm careful to fit when I'm filling in these little tight areas. Sometimes I will flip back to a smaller nib pen, just because I want to make sure I'm not making a mess. Now, the course correction that I mentioned here is, say for instance, well, unless if I could come to a place that I'm not happy with. So for instance, maybe, let me find a place. Maybe right here. Okay, so I'm just going to jump up here. I'm filling in, and this kind of is dipped a little bit down, and maybe I'm not too thrilled about it. So while you're filling in with color, you can kind of adjust just a little bit. So I can kind of flatten that out. And you just have to be careful, because you don't want to, create something else. But that is my number one way to adjust things. That I'm not happy with. Now, I want to try to keep these at about 10 minutes, which I don't think it's going to take me 3 more minutes to get this all filled in. But I want to do it while you're watching and while you're tangling. Hopefully you're tangling along. And because what this does is it just really makes it pop. Now, what else you can do other things with this as well. Do you have to use black? Nope. In the methodology of Zentangle, I know particularly when I'm teaching my Zentangle Essentials and explaining, how Zentangle was founded and purposes, where, they were teaching this as a way to teach meditation through art. So we stick with just black, white, and gray. That way it's less decisions, less planning. It just, you grab your tile, grab your, your pen, your pencil, your tortillon, and go. And again, not a lot of, thinking or planning. But you can take this, basically anywhere that you want to. We end up calling that Zentangle inspired art. So, and actually I'll show you a couple of examples here at the end of some other things. Could you do this all in color? Absolutely. Actually, could you fill in, instead of doing this in black, could you use the graphite in a tortillon and fill it in gray? Yeah, of course you could. You could also do it in another color. You could also, it's up to you. I'm sure you can see the difference, as we're going here, that it makes to fill in. And it's another reason why we want to kind of have these guys tight in here. And when you have, sometimes I do this where, like this one, where I have this one kind of coming off of a gap, and then it's just up to you to make up how do you want to fill that in there. And I see some other little triangles, and here's another one, and I just kind of fill it in part way. leave it at that. Oops. And this is why I try to be careful, because it's like that when I went a little bit into my Pokeroot, and I don't want to do that. These pen sizes come in, let's see, what I normally use is an 01. I mean, they come smaller, an 005. I'm going to get some of these little places right here. And a 5 and an 8. Now they have a 10 and a 12, I do believe. And also they have, you know, some ones that look more like brush type pens, which is they're called graphics. Oh, here I have one handy. You know, so it looks more, it's more like, it's not really a brush tip, but it you know, it feels a little bit more like that than this does. And they come in handy for coloring in, especially if you have a large area. Not so great if you're in these little tight areas. These, you know, like I said, you go right back into with my 01 and fill those in. But you can see how this is popping. I just want to get some of these little guys here while I have this pen, instead of flipping back and forth. A lot of times what I will do with, you know, coloring in like this is I will go around the outline, the perimeter of what I'm coloring in, and then maybe use a larger pen to fill in. That way, for me, it's just assure myself that I'm not going to go into the place that I don't want to go into. All right, almost done here. And then I want to show you some shading. There's a bunch of ways, of course, that you can shade these. I'll try to show you a couple here. All right, and I just have those in a little bit at the end here. Now, sometimes if I'm doing something at the end, actually, let me grab that. Where did that graphics go? I grabbed it and then just tossed it aside, and I don't know where I tossed it. Oh, there it is. Not too far away. See how, I don't know if you can see, oh, you can see how this edge looks, you know, it's just this white. If you're doing something on the edge, sometimes I do this. You know, because if that, oh, and you can see the difference. I mean, because like right here, you can see in here, and it's like if I just hold it up a little bit and just really get into that side, being careful. But it just, I don't know. I'm weird. I admit it. But it kind of gives a little extra finishing touch if you're going off to the edge like that. Ooh, and let me just do right here while I have this big pen here. And that way you can see how it works. It's nice for those big fill-ins. All right, so shading. Again, there's a couple ways. And there's also a way you can kind of have fun with it without even shading. So you don't have to shade these, just so you know. This is one of those up to you. So sometimes I like to just put a little curved line in this and I usually just do it on one side, and for whatever reason I usually pick this right side, and I'll just put a little, kind of like a dimple. What's really neat is if you are using this on a toned paper, it is neat to do that in like with a white jelly roll. It's absolutely amazing. Now, with shading, you can do this, and which is what I'm going to do since I have done them all. Also, you could also just do that with graphite. You know, with or without, as you can see, having that, you know, dimple in there. Now, what's kind of fun, well, let me just try this on. I'm going to just do some of the opposite sides shaded over here. Now, something else just to let you know if you didn't know, in Zentangle, we don't worry so much about light source. Our objective in doing shading is to add some contrast and have things pop a little bit. Oh, and actually, so that kind of looks neat where it's, I have this on this side and, the little dimple on the other side. Also, where things go behind, you can add a little extra graphite. Oh, can also just maybe a smidge. And let me just do this really quick here. It could be a little darker, maybe, just if you wanted to create a shadow. Like I said, we don't worry so much about light source. It's just a matter of, how can we create some drama and contrast with this. So sometimes what I do is I like to use up what's on my tortillon already, what's already kind of packed on there, especially if it's a little place that I don't want to have a lot of graphite, just a little bit. So I'm just doing this where the kind of stem pokes in a little bit. And this guy here I'm going to shade, because this one is really behind everything. And so I'm putting some graphite all the way around. We'll just make that little guy. Well, I'm going to leave a little bit of light in the middle, just because, like I said, we're looking for contrast. And this one I can go a little bit more in here, kind of like I had. And you can have different shades of gray also. And it's just super, super fun. So with that, let's see how this ends up here. Oh, another thought, as I mentioned with color, of course, if you have like pastel pencils, chalk pencils, you could shade in a color if you so desired. Oh, here's some more down here. And I would also recommend using a little and then add more if you feel like you need to. Because in our Zentangle kits, we do not have erasers, and that's part of the fun and the challenge of Zentangle is to just go pen and ink. What happens, happens, and if you need to find a course correction, we'll find a course correction. Actually, I should do a whole video on course corrections. And then, well, if you're just still, if you're just still not pleased with what you've done, what else can you do? So it just brings your Tangle to life. It's so much fun. Here's some other, some other ideas. Oh, this one I just did, had the little comma and then just a little graphite spread out on those. Those were fun. And then this one we did in green. Now this one I'll do this other in another video. I have poke leaf on here as well. But this one I really didn't shade. I did them in green, and I did not shade any of them. I was shading the sections. This bigger tangle is called Spoken. But so that way you can see kind of what it looks like without any shading. And then also behind, I did little teeny orbs because I apparently was a little bit crazy that day. But little teeny orbs instead of, doing it blacked in. So there's some extra ideas for you, and I hope you enjoyed. And I would look forward to maybe seeing some of your work. If you are on Facebook, the information is in the comments, or in the description, below. Do please like, share, add some comments. I would love to hear if you have any comments, or if you have some suggestions. If there's a tangle that frustrates you, or you want to have me do, leave it in the comments below, and I would love to do that. So with that, happy tangling.